Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing with chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Arjuna asked the question to Krishna, which is better, the impersonalist path or devotional service? And Krishna, in very simple, clear language, he's told him that the path of devotion is much better, is much easier, is more perfect to attain him. The impersonalist path is more difficult, certainly not easy for an average person. So, okay, let's read on.
Okay. So, text 11. अथैतद् अपि अशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगम् आश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्. Translation: If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self situated. Purport: It may be that one is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. There are many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions of punya or special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that when one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. And in that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his actions. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice for one's country, etc., may be accepted so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 18.46, we find it is stated, Yataha, yataha, yataha pravritir bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method.
Mhm. So, what
Mm.
is Krishna saying here?
Krishna is saying if someone cannot even uh, like do activities in Krishna consciousness to support Krishna consciousness, then he can act by giving all the results of his work to some good cause.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
so we heard yesterday. What was the first thing he said? What's the
The
best thing?
the first thing he said, like, fixed your mind upon me.
Yeah. And if you can't
Yeah.
do that, then what you do?
Then you can like engage in Krishna consciousness activities, like in promoting Krishna consciousness.
He said follow the rules of Bhakti Yoga, right? If
Okay,
you
this was the
can't fix
second.
your mind, hmm? I'm sorry.
Is it second? Second? I mean, the first fixed mind upon Krishna, and if we cannot do that, then we can do bhakti yoga,
Eng- Yeah,
like puja, archana.
yeah. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. So engage
Okay.
in devotional service, wake up early, bathe, do puja, do your chanting, cook
Okay.
for Krishna, like that. Then
Okay.
Krishna says, okay, now maybe you can't even do that.
Hmm.
Okay, then what does he say?
Then he says that engage in promoting Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, some work for me, right? You
Yes.
work for me.
Hmm.
Any work. It may be any work. It can just
Hmm.
work for me. And then now what he's saying.
Now he's saying that if you cannot even do that due to some reasons, maybe familial reasons or other religion or other reasons, then you can give your results of the activities to some good cause or Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, like somebody may not be able to give up the result to Krishna consciousness, because they may be whatever. For some reason, he can't do it. Because the earlier one was like that, right? Work for me. So, okay, if you're making money, then give
Mm.
charity to Krishna conscious organization. Or if you have some sort of talent,
Mm.
work for Krishna in that way. But here he's saying, okay, if you can't do that, then you give it to some other charitable organization, work
Mm.
for some other, or give your money to some hospital maybe, or if you have some talent, some volunteer. You know how people do a lot of volunteer work.
Yeah, yeah.
So the previous one was you do volunteer in Krishna consciousness movement, but now you're not able to do it, then you do it in some other organization, some other charity. Then, so we
Okay.
can see how Krishna is kind. He's telling
Yeah.
Arjuna the highest, but he's saying, okay, if you can't do this, do this. You can't do this, do this. Like somehow the other, gradually, then one can come to the goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So this one is the least uh like we can do, right? Donate to
no,
some
there's
good
something
cause.
more.
Oh,
There's
more
something
also?
more. Krishna is speaking. Yeah, he's speaking
Read
more.
back. Okay.
Mm.
Text 12. श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम् अभ्यासाज् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागस् त्यागाच्चान्तिरनन्तरम्. Translation: if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge.
That's
Better than knowledge, okay. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Purport. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service: the way of regulative principles and the way of full attachment and love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. There are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme. And that sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, then there are prescribed duties as enjoined in the Vedic literature for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, which we shall find in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But in all cases, one should give up the result of fruits of labor. This means to employ the result of karma for some good cause. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development, and the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the Supersoul, and then to the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either the step by step process or the direct path. The direct process is not possible for everyone. Therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjun because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the supersoul and Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it is the direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna.
Mm. So here, what is Krishna saying?
Krishna is saying, even if you cannot do, like, donate or do something good for a good cause, then you can just engage in gaining knowledge.
Yeah, what kind of knowledge is this?
Uh, Cultivation, knowledge, like knowledge about Krishna himself.
Knowledge, knowledge. No, but this one is not
Like,
yet coming to devotional
like,
service.
like other
I'm
paths,
sorry,
right?
your
A
voice
Brahman,
broke.
Atma, Brahmans, to know
Yeah,
Brahman, right? And then super soul.
yeah,
And then eventually the person
that's right.
reaches the ultimate
That's
path.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
right. So knowledge to understand I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul,
Hmm.
you know, to cultivate
Yeah.
that knowledge. And I'm not the body, that I'm spirit soul, so one will come to Brahman understanding. Then one will take up the process. So first one has to first be not attached to the results of one's activities. Only then one will be able to progress further, no? Because once one
Hmm.
realizes, oh, I'm not the spirit, I'm not the body, then one will say, oh, if I'm not the body, why am I being so attached to this body? Let me try to get what is real knowledge. Ah, I'm spirit soul. Then one will come to Brahman understanding. Then one will take up the process of yoga, meditation.
Hmm.
With meditation, then one will come to understand the super soul.
Okay.
Super soul. And then as one continues with the practice, then one will understand, super soul is there. I'm the soul. It is my duty to surrender to the super soul. It's my duty to engage in the service of the super soul. So like that, it's a gradual process then. What
Hmm.
happens, there can be a danger though, that one, first of all, one may not be able to give up the results completely. Second, one may gain that knowledge. I'm not the body, I'm the spirit. But one
Hmm.
may confuse oneself and think that I am the supreme Brahman, not able to understand that there's a difference between Brahman and supreme Brahman, para Brahman. One may one may think that okay, I'm God. Then one may begin meditation and one may see the super soul in the heart. And then again one may confuse oneself and think, oh, I am that super soul. Yeah, so that
Okay.
danger is there. But of course, as one goes on, if one has that sincere desire, then once one sees the super soul, one may come in touch with a devotee, then understand, I'm not this super soul, I am soul. Super soul is sitting next to me. So gradually.
Hmm.
Is
Okay.
that okay?
So, in the first stage, that is realizing Brahman,
Hmm.
is it the realization of Brahman, right? The first stage.
Yeah, yeah.
So, before realizing Brahman, one has to know that we are not this body, we are soul.
Yeah, then only one is, first one knows it
Hmm.
theoretically,
Hmm.
and then one has to go on to understand it, practically understand it.
Okay. So, there are different techniques to know Brahman, right? Like some people do some kind of meditation on some things like that.
Uh, See, that's what Krishna says, that how to understand the Brahman. It's not easy. You have to do so much severe austerity, so much penances, have to, give up all sense gratification, and
Hmm.
then uh, giving up all sense gratification, giving up all the results of work, By sitting in the house doing meditation for 1 hour, that's not going to help. You're not going to be able to realize a Brahman by that. It's not, you're going to go to the exact verse where he says that this is very difficult to do. He himself says. Um,
Like there are some other kinds of yogas which actually lead to the realization of Brahman.
the Dhyan Yoga, see, those who are attached to the Brahman, advancement is troublesome. Discipline is very difficult for those who are embodied. Is Krishna himself is saying it's very difficult. Why? Because they're trying to worship the unmanifested. They're trying to worship the Brahman. So their meditation is on the Brahman. Brahman we cannot see with our senses, can't understand with our senses.
Okay, so they are
And
known
then,
as Gyan yogis, right? So they are known as Gyan
yeah,
yogis.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then you have to control all the senses. But
Mm.
controlling the senses have to be equal to everyone.
Mm.
Yeah, so one has to practice that equal to everyone, and one has to practice to be
Okay.
engaged in welfare of everyone. And at last they achieve me. So by many, many lifetimes of practicing like this, one may
Okay.
be able to actually understand Brahman, and then from there
Okay.
go
Got
on
it.
further. Mm.
Sure.
So in modern times, somebody may think that they are practicing on Brahman, but may not be so, or may not know how to do it correctly.
Actually, in the beginning, also, like almost 3 or 4 years ago, I was reading one of the book by one of the yogis. It's an autobiography of a yogi. So in that, actually, they recommended some of the practices. They used to do Kriya Yoga. I also tried to do, but actually it is very difficult. I couldn't even focus, my eyes at one place, and they had some different techniques. So I gave up.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Mm.
It's not easy for everyone to be able to do it. So, what is the average person gonna do then? How will the average person get
Mm.
liberation or
Actually, I
understand
was
the
also
absolute truth?
sorry for the interruption. So I just want to, make this point that at that point, although I was reading this book, and I was engaged in Krishna consciousness, but not, I didn't start to chant or anything. I didn't even start to read books at that time. So after that, I actually used to think that Krishna consciousness is so easy, how can it will give me some results? We should do some, penances, some austerities, only then we will get some results. So this used to be my mind. Used to be my mindset at that time. So the when we actually when you started reading when we started reading Bhagavad Gita, I guess last year, in the beginning of the year, last year, many
Mm.
doubts actually, it got cleared. So I'm very thankful to you that you started this everyday reading of Bhagavad Gita. And this is the Bhagavad Gita is the first place where I got to know about Brahman, Paramatma realization, and then finally the supreme being. So I think
Lord
otherwise,
Krishna.
yeah, otherwise I would have been at the same place, thinking about where I should go, here or there. So now it's much clear.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
so that's why Prabhupada used to say, read my books,
Mm.
study my books rather. He would use the word study.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I'm happy. I'm happy that so many of your doubts are being clarified, and yeah, it's good. It's encouraging to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, mostly like one by one, everything. Now I can even, when any situation occurs, I can even, look at that situation. Look at means like, how to say that? Introspect, right? And then I
Mm.
can easily understand why this is happening. Like it is easier now, than before. Maybe there's a lot of things that I still have to learn, but still, I think now I'm at a better place than before.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks to
Yeah,
you, because you
yeah,
started this and we were given an opportunity to read this every day.
yeah. Shla Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Let's read this verse also.
Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna. I can read you.
Hare Krishna. Ani
Hare
hasya.
Krishna.
Okay. Yeah.
अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रेयः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः तं दुःखसुखशमी सन्तुष्टा सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मया अर्पितं मनो बुद्धियो मद्भक्ता समे प्रिया. Translation: one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Purport. Coming again to the point of the pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualifications of a pure devotee in these two verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy, he thinks. This person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds. So it is a better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, it is stated, Tatte mukampam susamiksha samano bhunjana evatma krita vipakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is in the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I'm suffering now. So, it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishments I am due. I am just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient, despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is also always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Nirmarmaha means that a devotee does not attach much importance to the pains and troubles pertaining to the body, because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He does not identify with the body. Therefore, he is freed from the conception of false ego and equipoised in happiness and distress. He is tolerant and he is satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of the Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with a great difficulty. Therefore, he is always joyful. He is a completely perfect mystic because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master. And because his senses are controlled, he is determined. He's not swayed by the false arguments because no one can lead him from the fixed determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, but a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to me, very dear to him, for the Lord is always pleased with all his activities in full Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so what is Krishna saying here in these two verses? Who's he
So
speaking
Krishna,
about?
devotee, a pure devotee, he's telling about the devotional service and devotee, like who he really likes, what his devotee is like he is free from the false ego, he's equal in both happiness and distress, he's tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in the devotional service with determination. And his mind is fixed on Krishna. His mind and his intelligence are both fixed on Krishna. And that devotee is very, very dear to Krishna.
So how is the devotee able to tolerate both happiness and distress? What is his mood?
So the happiness, he thinks that's the mercy of Krishna. And in distress, he thinks that it is due to his past deeds. What he's receiving is due to his past deeds, and he must receive, she should have received more, but due to Krishna's mercy, he's just receiving a token of the misery, just a little misery.
Yeah. And Krishna is kind. Krishna is taking away most of his misery. Yeah. So does he continue to think himself as the body or what?
No, he knows that he's the soul, and so all the suffering that falls on the body is just temporary. It's okay. He tolerates that because he knows that he's the soul. He's not the body.
Yeah. Yeah. We can see here his determination, his mind and intelligence, they're all fixed on Krishna. You know, the determination of the devotee is fixed on Krishna, his mind and his intelligence. We can see where is our determination? Where is our mind leading us? What are the thoughts we are thinking of? What is our intelligence compared to what a pure devotee is doing?
Actually, our like a pure devotee is always fixed. His mind and is always fixed on Krishna. And for us, we should be very, very careful by what we think, what we desire, what we do. So we should be very, very Krishna conscious in our dealings, and especially the dealing of desire.
Yeah, that's right. How are we using our time and energy, right?
Yeah.
Our energy, how are we utilizing it? In what direction are we utilizing our energy and our time?
Time, yes.
Okay.
And I just heard Anita Sevni Mataji, she said that it's very important that what you do when nobody is watching you. When somebody is watching you, it's very easy to do things and do the right things. But when nobody is watching you, so how you utilize your time, what is your conscious in that moment, what is your conscious in that moment is very, very important.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Because also Krishna is watching us, right? Krishna is in us. It's the Paramatma. He knows what we are thinking of. He knows our desires. So he is seeing us. We may think nobody is watching, but Krishna is always watching us. Yeah, it's true. Okay. Should we stop here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank